What happens when a prince stands up against his own family and every secret is exposed to the public? William, with a sharp gaze and a tense expression, made a shocking decision to cut all ties with Meghan Markle. No more silence, no more endurance. This direct confrontation marked an unprecedented turning point in the history of the British monarchy. The public raised countless questions. Why did William act so decisively? Was this a strategy to protect the monarchy's reputation, or a sign of desperation in the face of prolonged internal conflicts? All eyes turned toward the palace, waiting for the next reaction from the central figures in this crisis. Beside William, Catherine appeared calm and commanding. She was not only the supportive figure behind him, but also became a symbol of stability, replacing the spiritual role once held by Queen Elizabeth. Meghan, the Stormbringer, who had shaken the monarchy, now faced an unprecedented decisiveness. Meanwhile, Harry stood caught between two pressures, torn between love for his wife and duty to his family. The power struggle, the calculations, and betrayals all converged in this moment. Every decision, every look, every word carried the weight to change the monarchy's course. And from here, the story of power, loyalty, and buried secrets would begin to unfold, compelling the world to follow every development. Meghan Markle stood before the constant flash of cameras. Every smile, every glance was broadcast worldwide within hours. Praising articles, television analyses, social media posts all revolved around her, turning her personal image into a brand. Behind this glamorous facade, the British monarchy felt the disruption clearly. William monitored every move, realizing that patience, once a method for conflict resolution, was no longer effective. Each article, each interview directly impacted the family's reputation, and the monarchy's honor, built over centuries, was now weighed against Meghan's personal interests. William sat in the grand meeting room, gripping the notice in his hand, his gaze firm yet tense. The surrounding space seemed frozen. Every royal staff member, every advisor held their breath, pens trembling on paper, no one daring a careless gesture. He took a deep breath, his voice clear and cold. The monarchy will cease all contact with Meghan Markle. No exceptions, no justification. Each word, each pause, reverberated through the room, making it clear that this decision was not only a warning, but the most significant strategic shift in recent years. William stood straight, shoulders steady, eyes scanning the room. Everyone felt the weight of authority in his words. He knew that Harry, caught between love for his wife and family duty, would face consequences. Silence in response to Meghan's actions was considered complicity, and William decided there would be no more explanations, defenses, or protection for Harry. The tension was so thick that every breath seemed monitored, every gaze carrying the unspoken question, what would happen next? Light from the large windows reflected off the stone floor, casting long shadows of royal staff and advisors, emphasizing the gravity of the moment. William raised his hand, pointing to the notice, stressing every term and clause. All actions of Meghan and Harry would be closely monitored, with global public scrutiny. This firmness was not only a measure to protect honor, but also a declaration of power, affirming that the monarchy now controlled the situation. Beside William, Catherine stood silently, her sharp gaze sweeping the room. She remained composed, yet every gesture, every breath conveyed soft power, stability, and finesse in managing the tense atmosphere. Catherine was not just a supporter, but a pillar, balancing power and ethics, making William's firm decision even more rational and weighty. The slight smile on her lips sent a message. The monarchy will endure, despite external turbulence. Every trembling hand gripping documents, every tense gaze of advisors, and the scratching of pens created a vivid picture of power and pressure. William was not only issuing orders, he controlled the rhythm, the speech, each gesture carefully calculated to send a clear message. The monarchy is now proactive, no longer silent in the face of any threat. The allegations against Meghan were laid out, She was accused of manipulating the media, hiring writers to attack the monarchy's reputation, and secretly collaborating with Sarah Ferguson to apply pressure. William placed Meghan alongside figures who had previously disrupted the monarchy, emphasizing the need for transparency and strict handling. Harry, if he continued to remain silent, would face complete isolation and loss of privileges, while his children, Archie and Lilibet, could not be used as media tools. These developments had immediate effects. Meghan and Harry no longer controlled their image. Every step was under strict scrutiny. The public followed each action. Global discourse buzzed, and the media continuously reported on this historic decision. The monarchy's reputation was protected, but internal tensions rose, promising a series of further conflicts. William paused, speaking the final words. The monarchy will protect honor and order at all costs. Silence filled the room. Yet within, every heart beat under the weight of pressure, responsibility, and authority. This firm decision marked the shift from endurance to direct confrontation, opening a chain of unprecedented tension in British royal history. In this moment, light reflected on the gilded walls, casting long shadows and highlighting tense faces, emphasizing that from now on, every move, every word, every action of the central figures would be monitored, measured, and reflected directly on the monarchy's reputation. William's decision was proof of authority, responsibility, and the strict protection of family honor, opening a new chapter in a tense and dramatic internal struggle. But William did not act alone. Behind him was a calculated transfer of power from King Charles, opening a new chapter in the monarchy. The morning sunlight streamed through the large windows of the palace, yet the meeting room remained heavy with tension. King Charles sat on a high chair, hand trembling as he held a pen, his eyes showing clear anxiety and fatigue. Declining health had forced him to consider every decision, every signature, as each move now affected not only his personal image, but directly impacted the monarchy's reputation. In front of him, William stood straight, shoulders firm, eyes determined, face serious yet full of resolve. Beside him, Catherine remained calm but sharp-eyed, observing every detail in the room, every gesture of the advisors, ready to manage the monarchy's image. The silence was so profound that even the rustle of paper or the slight shake of a pen sounded loud, as everyone knew this moment would go down in history. King Charles placed his pen down, signing each line of the directive granting William and Catherine full authority to handle the media crisis involving the Sussex family. This seemingly simple act carried immense strategic weight. For the first time in recent history, a prince was entrusted to act on behalf of the king, controlling all images, messages, and interactions with the media. As the pen left the paper, William lifted the directive, his voice echoing through the grand room. From now on, he would take charge of operations, speak on behalf of the monarchy, while Catherine would oversee how the monarchy's image was shaped, managing relations with the press and international media. No hint of doubt or hesitation appeared in their eyes. From this point, every action would pass through the filter of William and Catherine, ensuring all information released to the public was appropriate, accurate, and preserved the monarchy's reputation. The tension in the meeting room persisted. Advisors stood around the long table, pens trembling as they took notes, eyes strained following every movement. King Charles exhaled deeply, his face tired but his eyes reflecting trust. He was passing authority to the next generation, believing that William and Catherine would uphold the family's honor and order. William bowed in thanks, his gaze meeting his father's in a brief but meaningful moment, trust passing from the king to the prince, from one generation to the next. The atmosphere was heavy with awareness of enormous responsibility. William knew he was no longer just a prince. He was now in control of critical decisions regarding media and image strategy, responsible for protecting the family's reputation in front of global scrutiny. Catherine, standing with authority yet composed, became a stabilizing pillar, balancing the flow of information, ensuring every action reflected both ethics and the monarchy's soft power. Each gesture from her conveyed that the monarchy would stand firm despite any turmoil. William and Catherine clearly understood that this transfer of power was not just about managing the Meghan and Harry crisis. It was an opportunity to reshape the monarchy's public image, reinforce their position, and demonstrate that the monarchy could still protect itself against unprecedented challenges. William felt every heartbeat in sync with the weight of power on his shoulders. Catherine scanned the room, ensuring all staff and advisors understood that from now on, every decision, every statement would be strictly controlled. King Charles remained seated, eyes distant, seemingly reflecting on his long tenure of power. He understood that granting this authority meant accepting that part of his power had now shifted to William and Catherine. The grand but tense room, gilded walls reflecting sunlight from the windows, casting long shadows, emphasized the importance and historical significance of the moment. Everyone recognized that this decision would change how the monarchy operates and interacts with the media, a transformation unseen in decades. When William received the directive, he opened it and read each line again to internalize the responsibility. He knew every move of Meghan and Harry would be monitored, every statement controlled, and the public would scrutinize every step they took. Catherine stood beside him, calm but resolute, providing the necessary balance between authority and ethics. The coordination between William and Catherine would establish a strong control mechanism, ensuring the monarchy would no longer be swayed by external disruptions. As the final pen stroke closed the directive, William looked at Catherine and whispered, "We must ensure everything is done the right way." Catherine nodded, eyes firm, as if exchanging a silent but powerful message. That moment marked the beginning of a new era, where William and Catherine became the center of power, deciding the monarchy's media strategy and public image. No one could doubt that from this point, the monarchy would act proactively, strategically, and all critical decisions would be guided by the next generation, safeguarding reputation and honor step by step, minute by minute. From this moment, all information about Meghan and Harry, all interactions with the media, and all internal actions within the monarchy would be under the control of William and Catherine. This decision not only ensured order in the monarchy's reputation, but also created a strategic turning point. For the first time in recent history, a prince wielded authority on behalf of the king, forming a new status, consolidating power, and laying a foundation to protect the family against any challenges. Despite the storms ongoing and yet to come, and with power in the hands of William and Catherine, the allegations against Meghan were no longer rumors, but urgent matters for the monarchy. That afternoon at the palace, soft golden light filtered through thick curtains onto the large desk. On the desk lay a thick file, each page detailing Meghan Markle's actions and media strategies. William held the file, his voice firm yet tense. Meghan had manipulated the media, hiring writers to undermine Catherine and even King Charles. Each word seemed to emphasize the weight of truth, and the tension in the room spread like an invisible curtain over every gaze. Catherine stood beside him, calm but fully focused. Her eyes scanned every page, every detail, her steady breathing like a drumbeat signaling the next actions. The tense room was orderly. The advisors around the table seemed frozen. Only the sound of turning pages and William's resolute voice filled the space. He continued, "Meghan did not simply misstate or misunderstand information. She actively coordinated articles, interviews, and external sources to pressure the monarchy, controlling her image in a way never seen before within the palace." William opened the file, pointing to specific pieces of evidence, articles appearing on social media, strategic tweets, television analyses all showed traces of Meghan's interference. But what worried William and Catherine most was the secret connection between Meghan and Sarah Ferguson. Letters, hidden messages, and discreet meetings were all documented. Fergie, as a close confidant with royal experience, was suspected of assisting Meghan in exerting psychological, media, and image pressure, forcing members of the royal family into unexpected and awkward situations. Tension in the meeting room intensified. William emphasized the severity of Meghan's actions. comparing her to Prince Andrew in terms of influence and the need for transparency. While Andrew had once thrown the monarchy into turmoil with scandals and prolonged disgrace, Meghan now faced a similar situation. Every action had to be monitored, and any flaw in her image could have a significant impact. The heavy atmosphere made the advisors take deep breaths, realizing history was repeating itself, but in a more sophisticated and dangerous manner. William did not hesitate to use imagined right dialogue to underline the gravity. Every article, every interview, every incorrect statement by Meghan is an attack on the monarchy. We must control the situation before it spirals out of control. Catherine stood beside him, calm yet profound-eyed, signaling that every decision must balance power with ethics. Every word, every facial expression from them created a tense atmosphere, making everyone in the room feel as though a power struggle was unfolding right before their eyes. William continued. Meghan's actions went beyond media manipulation. She actively hired writers, contacted journalists, and orchestrated media campaigns aimed at undermining Catherine and King Charles. The articles were carefully crafted, highlighting mistakes, rumors, and exaggerating minor events, all to create a distorted public perception of the monarchy. William flipped through each page of the file, pointing to every article, every quote, every interview to substantiate the allegations. His gaze was stern, his voice steady but filled with emotion. This was the first time William publicly exposed Meghan's media strategy. Catherine, while composed, could not hide her concern for the overall situation. She scanned the room, noting every gaze, every smile, every gesture from royal staff, emphasizing that all actions must be controlled. The meeting room grew heavy, sunlight reflecting off the ornate walls, casting images of the central figures, creating the impression that the entire palace was watching their every move. William turned the final page of the file, his voice ringing like a declaration. We can no longer remain silent. Every action of Meghan must be recorded, analyzed, and controlled. Otherwise, the monarchy's reputation will suffer greatly. The words echoed through the room, making everyone aware that from now on, the monarchy would no longer stand aside. Every move by Meghan and Harry would be closely monitored, and the public would scrutinize each step and each word. Every detail, every piece of evidence was presented by William logically and clearly, leaving no one in the room able to deny the seriousness of the situation. Catherine occasionally nodded, expressing agreement and emphasizing that controlling information and image must go hand in hand with ethics, composure, and stability within the family. This decision was not only about protecting the monarchy's reputation, but also a clear warning. Meghan was no longer an outsider. She had become part of the power game that the monarchy was ready to confront. William concluded the meeting by stressing, from now on, every action must be transparent, and every media strategy must be controlled. We cannot allow anyone to manipulate the monarchy. Catherine stood beside him, calm but decisive, emphasizing that the monarchy would now act proactively, no longer passive in any situation. The tense room reflected the power, responsibility, and pressure resting on William and Catherine's shoulders, opening a new chapter in the royal family's dramatic internal struggle. From this point, every article, every interview, every action of Meghan became the center of attention. William and Catherine asserted their authority, controlled information, and protected the monarchy's reputation with an unprecedentedly strict strategy. The combination of William's direct power and Catherine's soft power created a comprehensive oversight and control mechanism, ensuring that the monarchy's honor and order would not be threatened, despite pressure from global media and public opinion. And while Meghan was criticized, Harry was no longer exempt, as his silence was now considered betrayal. Night fell over England, the palace silent, golden light from a chandeliers reflecting off the ornate walls, creating a space both solemn and tense. William sat at the large desk, laptop open, a video call with Harry and the MOS, waiting to connect. On the screen, Harry's face appeared, dimmed by the light in a distant living room. eyes tense, shoulders slightly trembling as he realized the weight of the forthcoming conversation. William took a deep breath, his voice low but firm through the speaker. Harry, I will no longer explain or defend you to the press. Every action and silence of yours is now your own decision. Each word cut like a knife, cold yet carrying pain, striking directly at Harry's heart across the screen. Harry lowered his head, staring at his clenched hands, realizing that geographic distance did not lessen the pressure, but rather heighten the sense of isolation. William continued, his eyes fixed on the camera as if looking through it into Harry's soul. You are no longer allowed to stand idle in the face of actions that harm the monarchy. Your silence now aids Meghan. We have been patient for too long, but it ends here. The room in England was filled with solemnity, light reflecting off William's determined face, while Harry remained silent, eyes blurred with tension and helplessness. Catherine stood beside William, her sharp gaze tracking every expression of Harry on the screen. She knew that this call was not just a warning, but a strategic message. The monarchy was no longer passive, and every decision by Harry would carry serious consequences. Every word William spoke traveled from England to the US, carrying the weight of authority, responsibility, and deep disappointment. William emphasized, every time you remain silent, every time you fail to speak up to defend the monarchy, that is your choice. There is no longer any opportunity for explanation or justification. If this continues, you risk losing all titles, being completely isolated from the family, and having your personal reputation exposed to the public. Harry lowered his head, feeling each word as an unavoidable warning. He knew that every gesture, every word, every silence was being watched, analyzed, and evaluated by the global public. William continued without pause. You must choose. Stand by your wife or stand by your family. Every decision carries consequences, and the public will follow your every step. His eyes, though stern, carried the pain of a brother confronting his sibling in a tense and challenging situation. Harry felt the pressure weighing on him, his heart racing. Yet he also realized that geographical distance could not hide responsibility and duty to the family. Catherine added, her voice calm but firm, Harry, we are not punishing you for emotions or personal choices, but the monarchy must protect its reputation and honor. Your silence is no longer an option. Each word struck like a warning drumbeat, emphasizing that the period of testing had ended. The monarchy was now proactive, and every action, no matter how small, was under strict supervision. William glanced over the documents on the table, eyes fixed on the screen. You must understand that from now on, every action belongs to you. No one can shield or explain for you anymore. Every choice will be carefully considered and immediately judged by the public. Harry took a deep breath, shoulders trembling, realizing that this was the moment that would determine his relationship with the monarchy, between personal feelings and family duty. The call continued, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Every glance, every gesture on the screen carried the weight of power and responsibility. William looked deeply into the camera, his voice low but authoritative. You can no longer remain silent. The public is watching, the media is watching, and the monarchy is watching your every step. The decision is now in your hands and yours alone. Harry nodded slightly, feeling the weight of the message, understanding that every choice from now on would shape his future and directly affect the monarchy. Catherine, standing beside William, calm yet attentive to Harry, emphasized that the monarchy was now strong, proactive, and would no longer tolerate enabling silence. Every word, glance, and gesture through the screen created an atmosphere both tense and real, making Harry aware that every action and every silence carried strategic meaning. William concluded the call with a final emphasis. From now on, there is no protection or explanation. Every action, every word, every silence belongs to you. Remember, your choices will determine everything. The screen before Harry became silent, soft golden light illuminating his face, reflecting all the weight of power, responsibility, and difficult decisions. Harry knew this was a decisive moment where emotions, family, and the public intersected in a single and tense, vivid moment unfolding before him. From here, Harry had to determine his own fate, balancing personal feelings and family duty, while the public and global opinion watched every step, every word, every breath. Every action would no longer be just a personal choice, but also a testament to the tension, conflict, and power present within the British monarchy, where William and Catherine had asserted a firm stance, and silence was no longer a solution. But the struggle did not stop with Harry. The children, Archie and Lilibet, were also caught in this power whirlwind. A quiet night at the palace, light from chandeliers reflecting off the ornate walls, casting long shadows across the wooden floor. William and Catherine sat across from each other in the study, the table piled with thick files, letters, and reports regarding recent events involving Harry and Meghan. The atmosphere was heavy, full of tension but also determination, as if every heartbeat was synchronized with the heavy responsibility they bore. William looked directly at Catherine, voice deep but full of strength. "We can no longer stand aside. Archie and Lilibet are being used as media tools. Every action of Harry and Meghan now directly affects the children." Catherine nodded, her eyes sharp but calm, reflecting both resolve and responsibility. She knew this was the decisive moment to protect the future generation of the monarchy, and every plan had to be carefully calculated. William opened his laptop, projecting articles, interview videos, and media content related to Harry and Meghan. Every image, message, and social media comment was analyzed, revealing a common pattern. The children were being exploited to create pressure and draw attention to Meghan and Harry. William emphasized, "If we do not act immediately, the children's image and mental stability will be severely harmed. We must put them first, even before ourselves." Catherine nodded, squeezing William's hand slightly, silently affirming that they would take responsibility together to protect the children from harmful influence. They began outlining a detailed plan. William proposed close monitoring of media related to the family, while listing actions to intervene if the children's environment became too toxic. Catherine focused on how media could influence public perception of the monarchy and how to balance the images of William and herself while protecting the children. Every detail, from limiting information leaks to creating private communication channels with Harry's to discuss the children's matters, was meticulously planned. William took a deep breath, eyes on Catherine. "This is the first time we must intervene directly, not to contest custody, but to ensure stability and dignity for Archie and Lilibet. If we succeed, the public will begin to see us as protectors of the next generation, not just heirs to the throne." Catherine nodded, her eyes full of determination. They understood that this action would shape not only the children's future, but also the monarchy's image in the public eye. William made a video call to Harry. Light from the screen illuminated his face, highlighting the tension and gravity of the situation. William's voice was serious but persuasive. "Harry, we are not disputing custody, but the environment Archie and Lilibet are exposed to must be monitored. We must ensure the children are not used as media tools." Harry listened in silence, realizing that past inaction was no longer an option. William continued, "We will do everything possible to ensure the children are stable, protected, and maintain the dignity every child deserves." After the call, William and Catherine returned to the desk, eyes determined and a faint smile passing between them, affirming that they were acting for what mattered most. They discussed every option in detail: controlling information leaks, maintaining the children's mental stability, and managing media reception publicly without harming the children. Every plan was carefully considered, anticipating public reaction and preparing preventive measures to protect the interests of Archie and Lilibet. Throughout this time, Catherine emphasized maintaining a positive, calm, and composed image in front of the public. She explained that if the monarchy were seen as overstepping, it would give Meghan and Harry an opportunity to exploit the situation to stir the media. William agreed, stressing that the ultimate goal was to protect the children, preserve the monarchy's dignity, and ensure the stability of the next generation. They agreed that every action would be carried out quietly but effectively, ensuring the children could live in a healthy environment, free from unnecessary media pressure. Analyzing the strategy, William and Catherine realized this was the first time the monarchy had to intervene directly to protect the children from both internal and media pressures. The public began to take notice, and attention spread widely, not just regarding power or royal prestige, but also about how William and Catherine ensured the safety and dignity of the next generation. From this point, their image became not only heirs to the throne, but also symbols of protection and responsibility toward the children, earning public recognition for the monarchy's firm yet humane stance. Finally, light from the lamps illuminated William and Catherine's faces, reflecting determination and heavy responsibility. Archie and Lilibet, though far away, remained the focus of every plan, every strategy, every action. Every decision revolved around protecting the children, preserving dignity, and ensuring a stable environment, thereby reinforcing William and Catherine's standing in the public eye as guardians of the next generation of the British monarchy. In the midst of this storm, one figure emerged as the center of stability and trust, Princess Catherine. When the monarchy faced a crisis, amid shocking allegations against Meghan, King Charles's silence or caution was no longer enough to protect the royal reputation. In that context, Catherine stepped forward, calm yet sharp, becoming a symbol of soft power and the ability to control the situation without imposing or forcing. One afternoon at the palace, light streaming through large windows onto the wooden floor, Catherine sat at her desk, surrounded by close advisors. Her gaze was sharp, yet carried determination and compassion. Every word she spoke was carefully considered. Every gesture exuded confidence and authority. We must ensure that the monarchy does not lose public trust. Every action, every message must be clear and truthful, she said, her tone calm, yet no one could doubt the decisiveness behind each syllable. Catherine understood that her task was not only to maintain her own image, but also to reinforce William's and the monarchy's position. She analyzed every situation from how the media exploited scandals to public reactions, planning each message carefully to balance protecting the monarchy while maintaining the emotional stability of its members. Every action was calculated to inspire trust without causing pressure or division. The public quickly took notice. Catherine was recognized as the ideal model of the modern monarchy, composed, intelligent, visionary, yet maintaining kindness and morality. Images of her at public events, confident gaze, gentle smile, spread rapidly and received overwhelming support. In the public eye, Catherine was not only a princess, but also the new gravitational center of the monarchy, creating balance between tradition and modernity, between power and compassion. William stood beside her at many important events, but the leadership role of this duo had become clear. William took important decisions regarding power and prestige, while Catherine managed the public image and relationships, creating a harmonious coordination that allowed the monarchy to function more effectively than ever. They became a spiritual anchor for royal staff and the public, especially for the next generation, making the entire institution feel the strength and stability they brought. In private meetings with advisors, Catherine emphasized that stability was not just maintaining a public image, but creating a solid environment for the monarchy. Every action we take must reflect responsibility, ethics, and balance. We need to show the public that the monarchy remains steadfast and trustworthy, she said. William nodded, eyes full of confidence in Catherine's leadership. Through all this effort, Catherine truly became the new gravitational center of the British monarchy. Calm, sharp, and humane, she made both the public and royal members recognize her as a symbol of stability, trust, and soft power. Now the monarchy was led by the duo William and Catherine, creating a strong yet human-centered image. continuing the spirit Queen Elizabeth once left behind. In the soft light of the palace, among the magnificent walls, Catherine's image emerged as an undeniable symbol: power, stability, and the trust that the entire monarchy placed on her shoulders. After all the events, conflicts, and storms, what remained was not just the image of a wounded monarchy, but profound lessons on power, trust, and vulnerability. We witnessed a tragedy that went beyond calculated actions or schemes, encompassing choices, silences, and decisions heavy enough to shake an entire royal family. Every decision by William, each decisive step to protect the monarchy's reputation, or Catherine's calm and soft power, reflected that titles, power, and fame could never replace ethics, stability, and trust. The challenges Harry and Meghan faced also provided a different perspective on responsibility and the consequences of each action. Silence was sometimes no longer protection but complicity. Every choice, whether silence or confrontation, was observed and judged by the public. This contrast highlighted the weight of responsibility, power, and honor in royal life. After all the stories and revealed secrets, where would you stand? With William, the protector of royal prestige and power; Catherine, the symbol of stability and trust; or Harry and Meghan, facing the challenges of fame, emotion, and power? Share your perspective, as each viewpoint helps illuminate this complex yet compelling story. Ultimately, we are all part of this journey, observing, reflecting, and questioning power, emotion, and choices.